gonna start. And I think it started. Yes, we are. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us to OreAni. This is going to be the 2004 fall season lineup. We got the full crew here. Happy that everyone was able to join us today. We have Jessica, Vinny,
Hello.
Albert. Oh, he disappeared.
Oh no!
And then Dragon.
Hello, welcome back, Albert.
Sorry about that.
It's alright. I've done that so many times in my Discord calls as well. And I've been using it forever too. So, we're going to go through the new season. We're going to be skipping a lot of the titles that are 2 core. Or on the 2nd core. So, to start off our list, we're going to start with 365 Days to a Wedding, which none of us have watched completely. But I guess we can kind of give you a small little look into what it's maybe about, or what it is about. I guess I'll start with this one. As we ended up watching it 2 weekends ago, we watched the first 2 episodes. And it seems that, I can't remember what kind of company they work in, but they work in a
Travel agency.
Oh, it's a travel agency? Yes.
Yeah.
And I guess they're opening up a new branch in Alaska, I believe it was, right? So...
It's Alaska in the anime. It was originally Siberia in the manga that this was based on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's hilarious.
So, I guess we have... in the office, they decide that they're going to be sending someone from their group to this new branch, right? And how do I go about it? They're given a year, I believe, right, to make up a choice on who they're going to send. And as they're trying to figure out who to send or who gets to be safe, they realize that those that are alone or by themselves are more than likely going to be sent because they have nothing to lose or have less to lose. So because of this, a few of these coworkers start brainstorming ideas or making jokes about how they could bypass this. And it seems that one of these employees kind of takes those remarks to heart, and they decide that they're going to, I believe, go through with a fake marriage to cover up so that they don't have to leave to go to this place. And that's where the whole problem arises with them trying to create this situation where it seems that they've been together or have been together for a while, that they're going to consider marriage, and how to, I guess, trick everyone into believing that this is really happening, that they're not doing it to skip out on going to this new branch. Are there any corrections that have been made? Or
Not from me. It sounds pretty much what I can recall from it.
Other than the fact that they could have just quit the job. Somehow that's not required.
Because Japan.
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty accurate. So, you forgot to mention the main character's name. The guy's name is Takuya. He's kind of introvert. His reason for not wanting to go is because he recently got a cat that he's taken care of. And the woman's name is Rika. And I forget what her reason was. But anyway, she's the one that actually proposes to him to go through with this. And so it's kind of a rom-com about them trying to fake it, while obviously you can see where this is going because they'll probably actually fall in love. Meanwhile, their coworkers are, asking them, how did you, start dating? How come we don't know about it? And they're actually very supportive of them. And so now the whole guilty thing also, the guilty conscience also comes into play because they're lying through their teeth at this point. So it's supposed to be cute and all. I actually read the first 1 or 2 volumes of the manga and kind of dropped it because I could already see where it was going, and some of the premise just became dumb to me.
Mm.
So I watched the anime, the first episode, and I actually don't make it to the end. It's pretty average animation. It's not bad, but it's not that great. The story is exactly like the manga I remembered it to be. And just as Vinny pointed out, the absurdity of Japanese work culture, it only works if you buy into that they're going to be out of the blue told to go pack up and go. This is like what happened 40, 50 years ago. That was the Japanese work culture, and then the single man usually would be, and even if you were married, you were told to go and you went because the company told you. And whether you were alone or whether you had a family didn't matter. um, so that was kind of the work culture, but bringing that forward into, the 2020s seems really out of date, even for Japan, unless they're working for some sort of black company, and it's not clearly not. So it just feels really bizarre. And so if you can buy into that ridiculous premise, then maybe it becomes a wholesome rom-com, but I couldn't take it. So I dropped it. But that was my impression.
So you mentioning that this things like this typically are showcased in shows where they're punishing someone, right? Where they send them to another place as a punishment to get them out, or to get them out of their way.
Not necessarily. So in the old culture, you were sent, and then sometimes that was a way towards promotion because you put your time in, right? You went overseas, you put your time in for 1 year to 3 years, and then you came back and you got promotion because you did your time, and did this thing that no one else wanted to do, or you were told to do, and you just did it. So not necessarily it was a punishment. It's not like you're being actually sent to, the gulag in Siberia, right? You're not. It's not like that. So overseas assignment in the old times in the Showa era was looked upon as a great experience for someone on the promotion track, but you had to put your time in.
I was just saying that based off of some of the shows I have seen where I guess it wasn't really overseas, but they usually sent someone else to another area as a punishment. So I think they even did it in some other movies, like what is it, not Shaun of the Dead, but that one with the cop and the Coletto
Hot
series.
Fuzz.
Hot Fuzz, yeah, where they sent him to the country because they were trying to get rid of him.
Yeah, but that was because he screwed up and caused massive, property damage and all that. So, or and he was also making everyone else look bad with his excellent pursuit of criminals to exclusion of everything else. So, but again, we're talking about the Japanese work culture, not a fake police story in Britain. So
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying that that's what I remember from movies and other things I've seen. But oh well. It's like you mentioned. There's nothing too impressive about it. It's pretty bland. I guess the only thing you would really watch is to see what kind of awkward situations they would get into to keep this cover, or to see who might catch on to the ruse. I could see those being only the real points to continue watching this. But other than that, I would say it's a pretty average show. So let's go ahead and go to the next title. And that's going to be Acro Trip. Yay, Acro Trip. The way I'm kind of explaining this to a few people is it's gushing over magical girls, but just not ecchi at all, and made for kids.
Mhm. That's kind of what I thought while I was watching it, is that this is a more wholesome version.
But I have to admit, it's been really fun.
Mm-hmm.
So, in Acro Trip, like as in Gushing Over Magical Girls, you have this girl that just totally falls in love with the magical girl in her city, and actually, Chizuko, I think her name is, typically travels around due to her parents' work, but she happens to be with her grandfather, and during this time, she notices that there's this new magical girl in the city, and it kind of brings excitement to her life, so she decides that she wants to stay there to pursue and follow the magical girl that she's fallen in love with. And through this, she ends up running into Kuroma, which is the mastermind for the evil organization that threatens the city. But unlike your typical magical girl show with the bad guy, this guy is totally incompetent, and everything he does that he believes is evil is so minor, like flipping the placemat in front of a business upside down to cause discomfort.
He's so pathetic.
And the things I love about it is that how off-putting he gets when he actually is told to do something really evil. It's like, oh my god, you're so... How could you think of something so bad? And then you have, what's her name? Something Berry Blossom, right?
Berry Blossom.
Which is the magical girl. And she's just equally as inept as the hero, or the antagonist. So it's really funny to see these two that aren't really doing that great blunder through everything, but it's so entertaining. You have anything to add, Jessica?
Oh, not really. Just that it's a cute, fun watch. I'm enjoying it a lot. I, however, do not like the characters' eye design. They're they almost look like they have teeth in their eyes, because there's this jagged black line above and below the pupil, and then the eye, or the pupil itself, has a triangle or a square or some other pointy shape in there, and I just really don't like it. But that's my only complaint.
I kind of wondered about the eye design as well. It was really strange, I'll admit, at the beginning. But I don't know if you noticed, but Shizuko, when she was at the beginning, she had nothing in her eyes. She had no square, no shape. And it wasn't until she saw Berry Blossom and get that life, that new passion, the triangle appeared in her eye.
I hadn't noticed that.
So I'm kind of curious about it as well. But as we go through this, it's been a fun, silly show. That's all I'll say about it. And like I said, it's friendly, very, very kid friendly. That I think anyone could just get into this and have some fun. Okay. Let me see if I can get the next show on here. Okay, we're going to skip the aristocrat appraisal because that's a second core. Blue Mortibi, you know? Do you want to talk about that? What is that? I don't have no idea what this is.
Oh, Blue Miburo? Okay, I had hoped that other people had seen this, because I feel like I've taken crazy pills. This anime had everything in it that I would typically like. It takes place in the Meiji era, the tail end of it anyway, where the Shinsengumi are running around trying to stop the Ishin Shishi from their revolutionary activities, and it's told from the perspectives of young kids who meet up with Okita Soji and Hijikata Toshizo, which are some of my favorite historical figures from that time period. And so I was pretty hyped with this, but it's not... It's pretty unexciting. and the animation is mid-tier. I just was not liking it and couldn't really get into it. The episode felt like it was about 4 hours long. It just I didn't care for it. But what shocked me, and the reason why I thought I was taking crazy pills, is that apparently it had a 4% watch rate in Japan.
Whoa.
So 4% of the people that own televisions were watching this thing. And I'm just, did I miss something here? So I only watched the one episode. I decided not to watch any more because even that episode was pretty painful to get through. But if any of you fine folks decide to give it a try, I'd be very curious to know what your opinion is.
So, what? My question is like, what really is it? Is it just them cleaning up remnants of what's going on, or is there like a clear direction that's trying to go, or is it still kind of like vague on what it's trying to be?
What I think it's angling for is that the kid that's in all of the key art and stuff, he's got silver hair and blue eyes and stuff, is that he's going to become a member of the Shinsengumi. And so how I think it would shake out is that you're going to watch these historical events unfold through his eyes and meet all of these really famous samurai from the area as they freaking murder each other in the streets. That's what I think it's setting up for. But it was just pretty slow and painful, and I hate to say predictable because since it is a historical show, you know the broad strokes of what's going to happen. But it was pretty predictable in that the new characters that were introduced, the plot lines and the call to action and all of that was just very boilerplate, nothing really new or exciting. And then you throw on just generic animation and it's just, why am I watching this when I could watch tons of other really good Shinsengumi type anime? Because there's a lot of those out there.
All right. I might try the first few episodes just to see what it may be about. It may be one of those slow burn shows that just when you hit a certain part, it turns and everything just gets so exciting.
It could, and it is based on a manga. I didn't think that it was particularly popular, but perhaps that is what's fueling a lot of the viewer interest.
You know, sometimes Japan has different tastes, and the Shinsengumi, anything having to do with that is like, you know, talking about Wyatt Earp and the OK Corral kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's embedded in the culture that's a cool factor. So people just tend to check things out like that. It might not necessarily have to do with any hidden qualities that the show has. It's just something that is name recognition and people, you know, watch it.
That
But
could very
I haven't
well,
watched it.
because that's exactly
can't say.
why I wanted to watch it, is I love that period of history and those historical figures and stuff. So yeah, I guess you could have a point there.
I guess my last question would be, because of how you were explaining it, it almost seemed like it was very dialogue heavy. Is that not the case, or is it?
No, not really. I wouldn't say that it is light on dialogue or heavy on dialogue. It seemed pretty average.
Okay. Let's go to the next title then. Dun, dun. We have Dun Da Dun anime. And this has been blowing up. It was like heavily promoted at the conventions I've been going to. So, and I think they even had a movie release for the first 3 episodes, or how did that go? I can't remember. I didn't go watch it, so. And it seems like everyone here is somewhat caught up except for Vinny.
I'm not caught up at all.
Oh, I forgot about you, Dragon.
I missed the middle episodes.
Oh.
I think I have one more episode to watch.
So, dun 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 dun. If you love the paranormal, yokai, or poltergeist, whatever you want to call that thing, I think it just refers to the paranormal thing, right? And also aliens in the sci-fi, space. I mean, this show's got a lot of different things in it, and it's pretty popular. If on TikTok I see tons of short videos and reports being done on this about references to other anime and other things that they're homaging. But overall, this first episode is so crazy and so out there that it instantly hooked me, and I had to keep on watching.
Did it give like the similar feeling of like watching like the first episode of like Oshinoko? Or
Oh no, Oshinoko is heartbreaking. This is just silly and crazy. Kind of like I would say almost that kind of excitement. What was it? Zom 100 at the end of that first episode,
Yeah.
where it was just a blast full of like, bam, everything just kind of explodes, and you're just like, whoa, this is pretty exciting. But as the show keeps on going on, it's been keeping the levels pretty high, and it's been very, very enjoyable. You have Momo, which is our main character. She's, I believe, a Gauru, right?
Yes.
And she has recently broken up with her boyfriend, and she has, I guess, a particular taste in men. And this taste drives her. But she ends up meeting this, I guess, otaku, they call him in the school, loner. And during a conflict they have with each other, they make each other go into like kind of like a dare or a bet, right? Where since one believes in the paranormal but doesn't believe in the sci-fi, which is the aliens and stuff, and the other one's the opposite, they bet each other to go to the hotspots of those said locations. So Momo, which believes in the paranormal because she's raised in the shrine, goes to a place where supposedly aliens or UFOs have been spotted, and then the otaku goes to a tunnel where supposedly people have spirited away, which I believe is like a pretty popular ghost story told in a lot of different anime shows. And they end up both running into those said occurrences, and it just builds up from there where Momo and the otaku work with each other to battle these problems that happen. I'm kind of being very vague because it's a show I think you should just watch and just be have fun with. But anyone else have anything else to add to it?
Just that the animation is top tier. And so if you are an animation nut, you're probably already watching this. But you should check it out for that, if nothing else.
Yeah, the animation studio is Science Saru, so you can look him up, and it's a perfect match for this kind of show. I feel like because of all the craziness that goes on, you're smashing genres and making it a shonen battle anime, essentially. So yeah, animation has been top notch. They got 2 really good leads currently. So Momo is, let me double check. Momo is voiced by Shion Wakayama. She's been active for a while. Recent roles include and the girl I like forgets her glasses, and then she was also Takina and
Licorice Recoil.
Licorice Recoil, yeah.
And she was also Lemon.
Was she?
Yeah, Lemon from Manken.
Yeah, she was. Correct. So getting some pretty juicy roles, and then of course the guy Okarun is played by Natsuki Hanae.
Yeah, I
famous
heard the
for
Tanjiro in
doing-
him. I was like, I hear
Yeah.
Tanjiro.
Yeah, someone was saying, I feel bad for him because he keeps getting all these screaming protagonist roles, and I'm worried about his voice because
Mm.
he does scream a lot in all of the shows he does, because they're all shonen, right? Shonen battle animes. So, but yeah, I think the voice is a good match for the characters, and there's plenty of materials. I think this is only set for one core. And hopefully they can keep the quality up. But as far as source material, it's based on the manga, and there are 17 volumes out right now. So plenty of more stuff, and there will be other characters that are introduced. But the interaction between the two and throwing in, well, later you'll meet Momo's medium grandmother, medium being like a spiritualist. Um, she's she's great. So I'll leave it at that. But yeah, this is the show everyone was hyped about. I think it was up to the hype. It's currently, let me check,
Five episodes.
8.62 at Mal. But yeah, there's 5 episodes out, but it's rated 8.62 on Mal, which is pretty damn high. So one of 2 shows I highly recommend this season.
So, one thing that did shock me about it, which is pretty fun, is that it seems that they haven't really tried to make it dated. I don't really see any cell phones or anything like that. It seems to be set in a time that's really hard to describe, especially with the types of gals they showcase as well. I believe people are talking about there's like an old gal type that one of the characters in the show is. But I'm really curious as to what time this story kind of takes place, as I see a lack of certain technologies and stuff. But other than that, anyone else have anything else to say before we go to the next show?
I do not.
Okay. Next up is Demon Lord.
2099.
Yeah, I was looking for the title card, but I don't see it. So we'll just have to skip it for now. Just the title card. We'll hide that. So Demon Lord 2099. Doesn't look like many people have seen it, but it's a pretty strange show. I believe got a lot of hype because it showcased some VTubers in it.
Yeah, I showcased a HoloLive VTuber.
Yeah. So with HoloLive and VTubers in general just being really popular, people who were following that kind of, I guess, checked into the show, and but I decided to watch it, and it's somewhat interesting. It's I don't know if we want to classify it as an isekai or not, because basically 2 worlds have collided and merged into one. So you have Earth and this fantasy land that have kind of merged together to create this new weird atmosphere. And our Demon Lord at the beginning was defeated and has now been resurrected, I believe 500 years later, into this new era. And due to this new land and this new situation, he has also found himself to be somewhat weak and unknowing to everything that's happening. So in a nutshell, it seems that in order to gain his power and to become stronger, he needs to gather followers. And due to what he sees on screen and to a friend's advice, he decides to become a basic VTuber, right? And to gain his following that way. So it's really silly and pretty out there. Um, it has some pretty interesting ideas with this Familia thing that they have going on, that they have these devices that allows them to connect to everything, kind of like almost made me think of what was that show a while back? Whatever it was. How they use these devices in their necks to kind of access everything, to do payments, to play games, to do a bunch of everything. So it's just been a silly show, and they've had a few actions moments now, and those actions, they're not super great. They're pretty entertaining, but it's kind of hard to sell the show, I would say, but it's at least somewhat fun. Anyone else have anything to say?
I haven't really watched much of this, so I have nothing else to say for it.
Okay, so let's go.
Are you continuing to watch it then?
Yeah, I am. I've watched up to, I think, the newest episode, so I am kind of keeping. Like I said, it's not bad, but it's not like the top of my list where I'm watching it at the release date. It's just when I have time, I'm like, oh, I'll see what's going on now.
Okay. Let us know, because the first episode is actually pretty impressive and makes a very interesting premise. But then I heard about what happens in the second episode, and then I kind of lost interest in even watching the second episode. So I just want to know if it actually picks up besides being being a VTuber in a cyberpunkish world thing.
So a small spoiler then. I'm not going to try to give too much of a spoiler, but there is a new conflict that appears in the newest episode, which I believe is I can't remember if we're on the third or fourth, but you find out that there's a conspiracy happening within the city and with the immortals. So the Demon Lord now has to take action due to him being, of course, the ruler of those. What do you call them? The immortals, right? So it seems to going in a different direction rather than being him just VTubing all the time.
So I have a question. You said that there are VTubers that are starring in this.
I don't know.
Are they?
I think it was just like a cameo thing.
Oh, because that's using the actual models of VTubers in this anime.
No, they just appeared, I think, on like a billboard. Like their stream appeared on a billboard, and I think that's the only cameo if I can recall. I don't know I think Tank might have a better understanding of if there's anything else related to those VTubers, but I just remember that there was a billboard that was advertised that basically had their stream on it.
Yeah, the things they did show were, like you said, on the giant screens, and also it seemed like a television where people were just watching it inside a cafe or something. So it's very much just the stream that they probably got permission to use the part of their stream to put into this show. Because it doesn't seem to be anything special or anything geared towards what's happening in the show.
Interesting.
Next up, Demon Lord Reentry R. I think we'll skip that because that's a second season. We could talk about it at the end of the season. But we do have the next one, which is Goodbye. What is this? Goodbye Dragon Life. Okay, I think I messed up on my list somehow.
Oh no.
My list has it in English, but the titles are in Japanese, so I'm trying to figure out how to find it, so I finally found it.
It's S.
Yeah,
It
that's
starts with an S.
yeah, that's what I was looking. I was like SS for Sayonara. So Sayonara Goodbye Life, I believe it's based off of a light novel. I've read the manga way back in the day, so when I saw it, I was like, this sounds very familiar. And lo and behold, it is. It's starts off with this dragon, this ancient dragon, is defeated by the heroes of the time, and it kind of seemed. I can't remember in the anime too much, but in the manga, it seemed that he was willing to die. He didn't want to really be there anymore. So it wasn't really he was fighting for life. He was just like, I could just, might as well just die here and then see where my new life takes me. And he happens to be reincarnated as a human, but he still holds all of that divine dragon power within him. So this is pretty much one of your protagonist is OP as everything and can basically accomplish anything. So, as he's in this new life, he has realized new things, being or living as a human with his human family, with his parents. So his processes and things that he's come to appreciate have changed a lot, and he's very much enjoying this new life. But as things go on, small little problems are occurring within this area. Now, it has changed slightly from what I remember in the manga, but like I said, it's been a long time since I've read it in this newest episodes, so that is kind of a new thing for me, which is making it a little more interesting to watch to see how it changes. So I don't know if it's following the light novel more or if it's just a new take on what the anime is going through. But yeah, it's just, I guess right now it's just this reincarnated dragon in the countryside. You have anything to add, Vinny? Or
No, that's pretty much in a nutshell. OP character, having a accidental second chance in your life, and decide, I'm gonna just have a relaxing retirement life. And of course, things never really goes the way he wants to, but those problems are just a pebble on this road kind of problems for him. So, and he befriends all those neighbors, new friends, new creatures. Everything seems to be going well. Until the big problem from his past life rears its ugly head, which is what's about to happen.
all right. And let's go ahead and move on to the next title, which is Dragon. This is going to be all you because you're the only one who's seen any of it.
Oh.
Which is the how I
attended an all guys mixer. It's
wait, how does this is it G, I guess, in Japanese?
Gokon ni itada on oh yeah, but what can I say about this? So it's I believe they're all in college. Basically a guy gets an invitation from a girl to go to a mixer, so he brings two of his friends and then to meet up with her and her friends. And when they reach the place for the mixer, they're kind of like looking around. It's like, I don't see where she is. So then he goes, okay, let me go call her and see where she is. He calls, and then it turns out that that the girl and her friends work at a drag bar, and so they had just came from work, and so they're still dressed in their guy clothing or their drag clothing, and so all the main guy and his friends are like, huh? Because now it's like that's how the title comes to be, is how I attended an all guys mixer, even though it's not really an all guys. It's three girls dressed as guys, but it looks like it's all guys. And so basically we just kind of go through and see the funny scenarios between the three guys and their new friends who are drag workers or drag bar workers. It's been very cute and funny. After watching the first episode, I decided to just read the manga, and I've just been having a great time seeing some of the relationships, progress between all the characters. I haven't really watched the anime since then, but I've been having a good time with this series.
All right. Now, this is one of the few shows that's on High Dive. So if you decide you want to try to check it out, it's going to be there. But other than that, thank you, Dragon.
No problem.
Next up is... what is this one? Starts with an R?
Yeah.
Oops. There you are. The title is I'll Become a Villainess Who Goes Down in History, or Reikishi no Nokuro Akujo ni Naruzo.
Bless you.
Thank you. I did it. I'm actually finding this show really fun. I don't know why. It's not that impressive at all, but I've been enjoying it nonetheless. I actually look forward to every single Tuesday it comes out to watch it. And it's your, I guess, isekai into an otome game, right? And
Yes.
The main female protagonist has played this game, knows everything that's going on, but she also happens to be the villainess instead of the hero. And rather than complaining or worrying about what's going to happen, she actually wants to pursue being the villainess and to bring her villainy to the greatest heights, because she always felt that the character in the game was kind of lackluster, so she wants to make it so much more. So that's our story. Now, like I said, it's not really all that impressive. I mean, even the animation is not that great. I found a lot of little errors and such in different moments, and I'm like, it doesn't look all that good, but for some reason, it's just something that's hooked me, and I've been having fun with it. What about you, Vinny? How come are you watching it?
It's one of those very middling, trashy, or tiresome trope at this point, I guess. You don't watch this series to make some new discovery or be profoundly impressed by it. It's really far from it. I guess I just am a fan of this studio for whatever godforsaken reason. It's being done by Maho Film, and as I mentioned in the comment section, that Blue Meebo is unfortunately being done by them as well. And I was just looking through the list of the animation they produced so far, and other than The Million Lives, I pretty much watched every single one of them. Their bread and butter is sort of like a slice of life / like a light-hearted kind of series. And they do have this weird quirk of eye catch, which is a commercial break insert, where they kind of put to have some random character or the main character doing a little bit of a skit in between. So you kind of see that, and you kind of realize that, oh, it's being done by that studio. It just, there's something about it that kind of makes it good time killing, because you don't really have to think too much about it. It's basically all about character gets stuck in this otome game and somehow trying to leave the role, but accidentally becomes something of having a renaissance moment or trying to achieve a redemption by incidentally or accidentally type of series. So you don't really have to think too much about it. And the main character is likable enough, so she's trying to play the role that she's supposed to do, but of course it never really goes the way it's meant to be, and which is all pretty obvious by the time you watch halfway through the first episode. But I still watch it because, it's just Enjoyable to me. It's kind of like think of like isekai series as like a junk food. Sometimes you just like junk food, and this is one of my junk foods kind of a series.
So I think one of the biggest difference in this show compared to the other ones, and why I'm enjoying it, is I believe the other few the characters that have played the villainous are doing everything they can to prevent the bad flag or their demise, while this girl, I believe her name is Alicia,
Mhm.
isn't doing that. She's actually trying to play her role to the utmost, and um, and she's actually not, I guess, clueless about anything that's going on, like in that All Routes Lead to Doom villainous show.
Mm.
She's pretty smart, and she actually takes a lot of really good decisions to further her agenda, which is also kind of why I think I'm enjoying it a little more.
I think only problem with this type of series, the ultimate game or sucked into any kind of a games where you're supposed to leave the role or try to emulate as best as you can, is that it falls into the problem of whatever change that you accidentally or on purposely make it affects the game, and that naturally leads to the beard of forked storyline from the originally intended game. And I have yet to see any series that actually managed to successfully kind of steer that into the direction that makes it satisfying. And I don't believe this one will be able to pull it off, but I remain somewhat hopeful. Because by the end of episode 4, you can kind of see that even though she's trying to leave her roles of being a villainess to lead the heroine to do what she's supposed to do, but here comes the curveball. Now she's getting thrown into the situation where she doesn't remember seeing from the gameplay. So now what?
Mm-hmm. All right. Anyone else have anything to say?
I would say read the manga. I mean, the anime is so mid that I watched the first episode and gave up. But I'm continuing reading the manga, and yeah, there's a whole bunch of these villainous ones, and this is one of the better villainous ones because her agenda isn't necessarily to actually become the villainous, right? And these ones where you're actually evil and doing horrible things to people. It's that she doesn't like what the main character of these otome game isekai uh, villainous stories where the well, it's not pink haired, but the main character of these otome games is usually of not noble birth but common birth, shows up at the academy because she has some special ability, and then falls in love, or other characters fall in love with her. But Alicia's problem is from playing the game. She's like, this MC is an idiot because she says all these things that are hypocritical and nonsensical and illogical, and the way she plays her role as the main character is just dumb uh, to her. So she's out to prove that her way of thinking is better. So it's more of a philosophy difference. And that's much better played out, I think, in the manga. And whether the game world that she finds herself in is actually a game world where things are being forced into the game's narrative and story structure, or whether it's actually a world that you can change based on your own actions, that's yet to be seen. So yeah, Vinny's right about that. That a lot of these, that part of whether you're playing a role in a completely structured game, or whether you can escape that and make something new. That's a theme that comes up in these many, many, many villainous manga and light novel.
let's go to our next title. We're going to skip Don Machi because that's like what, season 5 now?
Season 5.
Man, it's been going forever. So if you're watching it, you're watching it. I actually had to go back and watch a few episodes to get myself a recap of like how did we end that last arc. So I'm going to go ahead and skip that and we'll go to this next title called Let This Grieving Soul Retire. And this is a show I'm actually really excited for because I was reading the manga and I really enjoyed the manga, but when it first came out, I guess because of fans' translations, that's how I read it. It was done really poorly and really hard to read. So I had a hard time trying to figure out what happened at the beginning, but now it's been cleaned up. It's better. But with this anime, it's showing us some things that have never been shown in the manga due to probably being based off of the light novel. And it's been really enjoyable. And it's about, I believe it's 6 childhood friends that have gathered together to become the top tier adventurers in their city. And they actually do accomplish that. And the main gentleman, Krai, they call him, is the top adventurer at the rank of level 8. And I believe he's like the only level 8 within that city. And he's just seen as the strongest, the proud leader of First Steps. And, you know, he's just over embellished. But when you actually look down and see him for who he is, he's a scaredy cat that doesn't love conflict. He tries to stay away from everything. And just the mention of being in battle or getting into something that could be troublesome wants to make him puke. And due to this, and being the leader of the Footsteps, he has to kind of put on this front to everyone so that they don't look down on their organization. And it's just, to me, that's the fun part, because it's kind of like, how do I explain, the Eminence of the Shadow, where he just makes up things and everything just so happens to go in his way. It's kind of the same situation here with Kurai, where he'll mention some things and then things just so happen to align. And then with his clanmates and being so strong and powerful, they're able to back him up and move forward with everything that needs to be done to raise him up to this position. And it's very comedic in that sense, where like he absolutely knows nothing, but everyone thinks he's hiding the truth or has some deep hitting meanings into everything he does, when it's just him just saying things on a whim. So to me, I've been really excited for this, but the only thing that really threw me off was the way they were saying certain things in the show and how they subtitle it, because their main clan was called Strange Griefs, but they called it Grieving Souls in the subtitles. And so I was always wondering why they would have it being two different things. They were saying one thing and have it the other. But then I realized when I went to read the manga again, is that they had Strange Grief written down, but on the side they had like a little Romanji, the other title. So it was like a dual meaning to those words, but because they were saying it one way and it was written this other way, it's maybe that's why they were having it translated and such. So once I figured that out, it was pretty fun. But doesn't look like anyone's into the show like I am. I believe, Vinny, you didn't like it because of the leveling system, or what was it?
Yeah, that's the whole guild and the leveling, and that just got to me too much, to the point I just don't want to watch it.
Alright. And Dragon, you're just behind, right?
Yeah, I only seen like clips here and there from when I was watching it with you.
And then Albert.
I dropped it after the first episode.
All right. Like I'll admit, it's nothing. It doesn't look great. It's very, I think, as far as animation wise, it's not that impressive. I think even the newest episode, I kind of freaked out because I saw the CG horses again. That brings nightmares to me. But I'm there for the ride. Let's go to the next title. What's this called in Japanese? Or Hitori Bochi?
Yes.
Where's H? There it is. Loner life in another world. Hitori Bochi no Isekai Kyoraku. So it's right there in the title, Isekai. But it's a classroom that's been isekai'd rather than an individual, and we've been seeing a few of these. I think last season we just had one, the
Failure frame.
yeah. So one thing that made this a little more funny, I think, is at the beginning the main guy, protagonist, notices the magical circle and notices they're about to be isekai'd, but rather than being all for it, like yay, a new world, he tries to run away from it and tries to even climb into air ducts to try to get out, but he ends up being summoned. But because of him trying to escape, he ends up going to the, I guess, middle realm before he gets to his new world, and is left with all the leftovers for skills and abilities that just don't do anything. So, due to this, he argues with the god of that realm to give him something more, and the god just decides to give him all the leftover skills. And as he's isekai'd into this new world, he's all by himself, and because of his skills, I think he does a lot better and is more productive if he is by himself. So the show is going to be following him most of the time as he goes through his life and trying to live in this new world, and he has to deal with his classmates that pop up from time to time to help them with issues or to help them with solving problems, but also trying to keep it in a way where he can live his life freely. And it is one of those few shows that's on High Dive as well. And other than that, I guess not much else to say for right now. We'll see how it goes towards the end. I've read some of the manga, so I kind of know what's to happen for at least this next few arcs. But other than that, it doesn't actually look too bad as some of the other shows. And it looks like you dropped that one too, right, Albert?
Yes, I've actually read the manga up to like 10 volumes, and then I dropped it because, the premise is in the title, right? He's supposed to be a loner, and yet in the show, you'll find out later that he's never alone. He's always helping someone, or he's always, so his whole thing was, oh, I want to, get my own little man cave, and I'll be a hikikomori in the isekai world. But it never works out that way. And he's always doing things for other people. So he actually is not a loner. So it just got to be annoying after a while. As you would expect, he has all these many skills, and by combining them, of course, you can do things you weren't meant to do originally with a single skill. He can combine them and use them in different ways, and in many ways, even though he is a very low-level character, because of the skills and the unique abilities, he is overpowered compared to many of his other classmates who are higher level but only have a single skill. So it just got to be a little bit old after that, and I didn't quite see where it was going. And then I watched the first episode, and again, there's a lot of talk about skills and leveling, and he or the narrator. I don't think there's a narrator in this one, right? So he has to explain, voiceover monologue, tell you what's going on. So I also found that to be boring. So that's why I dropped it.
I will admit the only thing that I have a hard time accepting is the fact that he is super low leveled, yet he's overclassed than everyone else. But let's go ahead and move on to the next title, which I'm surprised. I didn't think. This is Jessica. Kubishiki Gaisha Magi Lumiere.
Magi Lumiere Magical Girls Incorporated.
What's this?
And I am really liking this. So this is a world in which it's very much like our own in terms of the level of technology and stuff. However, magic is kind of integrated into technology where it can be programmed in such a way for casting spells and the like. And there are these creatures called kai that are constantly attacking modern day Japan and need the help of magical girls to exterminate them. And as a result, there are all of these businesses and companies that are kind of groups of magical girls, and they're run like businesses where, hey, I have a bunch of gophers in my yard. You call up the exterminator, and they come over and take out your gophers. Well, if you've got, an ice demon, or whatever these kai really are, in your house, you call up a magical girl company, and they will come and exterminate the kai using monsters. And so what's really interesting is that the characters are all not really kids. They're working professionals, probably just out of college, so early 20s, if I had to guess. And it's following one young woman named Kana who has a really good memory and is also very good at studying. That's kind of her superpower. And she's gone to all of these interviews and has pretty much bombed every single one of them. And then one day she sees a magical girl taking out a kai, and the magical girl is having trouble balancing both the fight and working off of her little notebook tablet computery thing. And so Kana jumps in and starts working the tablet and helping this magical girl out with the kai, and so she gets recruited for this small magical girl company and begins working there as a newbie magical girl. And it's a premise that I think is pretty fresh. It's a new take on the genre. It's not dark at all. As much as I love dark magical girl series, they've kind of done everything that you could possibly do with that genre or subgenre. And so having this fresh take where it's older working professionals coming together and creating companies, and how mundane the magic is, I just really like it. It's pretty cool, and I think you should check it out, especially if you like magical girls.
Interesting. I might have to check it out. When you first started, you almost reminded me of another show. What was it? Tiger and Bunny, where the superheroes are basically working for corporations.
Oh, I haven't seen Tiger and Bunny.
But then as you went on, it kind of veered off, going to completely different. But Tiger and Bunny was kind of similar to that, where these heroes work for, or I guess were kind of sponsored by different businesses. Like Pepsi was one of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pepsi Next, and the heroes fought on their behalf. But like I said, it kind of veered off because they would do it for like variety shows or television shows to gain popularity, to basically, and that's what their advertisement was, the heroes doing stuff. That's why they were sponsored. But yeah, this seems pretty fun and interesting. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
What is it? It's on Crunchyroll?
No, it is in Amazon jail.
Oh, no wonder I never saw it.
Yeah. I think that's why there's not a whole lot about it and not a lot of people are really talking about it, which is a shame because it is really good and I would love to read the manga that it's based on eventually.
Okay, that's a good information. I have to check that out. Okay, so next up is, did you guys, I'm actually really curious about this. I keep on seeing it and I'm tempted to almost watch it, but then I always I'll wait for someone else to tell me something about it, which is Matcha Ude.
No, it's Mecha Ude, or Mechanical
Oh,
Arms.
Mecha. Oh, my bad. Mecha Ude.
Yeah, so this I started watching it. I've watched 3 episodes. I'm really on the fence about it. So the story is an anime original. According to what I did research, it appears the director wanted to make this uh, show, and he crowdfunded the first episode or a pilot, and then it got picked up, and now it's a full series. So kind of got an interesting premise. It is very shonen, for better or worse. Basically, the show starts off with kind of a battle that happens on top of this huge corporation's tower between a girl that apparently has mechanical appendages attached to her body, with another, with the corporate goons, and another guy that also has some sort of mechanical arm that can do weapons and all kinds of things. And a young middle schooler, Garu, sees the flashes of light of this battle from afar, and he's like, "Oh, I wonder what that is," because this happened that night. Next day, he mysteriously hears a voice saying, help me," and he, is curious about that, so he goes and ends up finding this cube. And by touching the cube becomes an arm, except the mechanical arm is now attached to his hoodie, not to his body like the other users, which he later finds out. And the corporation, the evil corporation, the Kagami Group, is after, wants to retrieve this, because they had it under observation and study and all that, while another group, Arms, who the Kagami Group says is a terrorist group, but apparently they're, revolutionaries trying to free these mechanical arms from slavery. So Kagami Group uses some sort of technology to enslave and use these mechanical arm entities as tools, while the arms terrorist group, or whatever you want to call them, is in a symbiotic relationship with these mechanical arm beings. So I guess they're alien life forms. The corporation is supposed to be like really evil. They're, one of their higher ups. I don't know if they're a board member or executive, but they're saying like, "Oh, we should just kill these, all these people and cover it up." And so you think it's kind of this dark world, but ends up not, because right in the first episode, like later on, the girl that showed up in the first fight, Aki, is trying to retrieve Hikaru and the arms that he got from another, from the corporation, and she ends up defeating one of them. But the guy is left alive, and his cube, the arm, is has turned into a cube and is left with him. So I'm like, that doesn't make sense if they're trying to, free these mechanical beings from enslavement. So there's a lot of things that are not quite making sense. And even by the third episode, I'm not quite sure how it's going. Now, animation-wise, it's actually not bad. Story-wise, it's very shonen. He is a middle schooler. He's kind of not very decisive about anything. He's always hesitant to do anything. So yeah, you could see where this is going as he becomes and grows into his role. and finding his, his partner is a special arm unit, a mecha ude, and so I can see the trajectory, but I'm not sure they have the tone quite right because there's a lot of comedic moments in it that seems not in line with the seriousness of the story they were initially setting up with this, you know, evil corporation trying to take over things by enslaving these alien mechanical armed beings. So I don't know. You'd have to watch the first episode. At least out of the first episode, it seemed to be going well. But like I said, after watching 3 episodes, I just don't quite feel everything meshes well. So yeah.
All right. Well, at least we know a little bit about it. Like, I had no idea anything about it. Oh. Looks like Joseph just picked all the shows no one knows anything about. This is very good, because now we can learn.
Okay, so this is Negative Positive Angler. I think it's based on a manga, and it's all about fishing, which... Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it says the source is original.
Oh, pardon me. Then yes, that is what it is. Original, I guess. So the premise is that a young man, kind of neat vibes, took out a loan from a loan shark, or maybe 2 or 3 loans from loan sharks, and is on the run for his life. And he happens through a chase sequence to meet up with a very eclectic crew of anglers who are just kind of out fishing in the middle of the night, getting fish. And they adopt him into his group and help him ditch the loan sharks. And they basically want to induct him into their cult of the fish, because these guys are so obsessed with fishing. And one thing that I really liked about this is that his first time, he didn't catch anything, which is extremely accurate. I've been fishing, and I think I've only caught 2 things in life, and one of them was my brother, because he wandered into the path of my hook when I was flinging it back, and it embedded into his neck. So, with that in mind, fishing is pretty difficult, and they don't shy away from saying as much in this story. And I've seen 2 episodes. I think it's just going to be your kind of eccentric people obsessed over one thing, forming bonds and friendships, and navigating life through this common interest that they share. And I think it's fun. It's pretty cute so far. The character designs, everybody looks like they're from a different show, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, I'd say check it out, even if you're not super duper into fishing. There's still a nice little slice of life show to be had here.
So is it just like simple fishing, or is it like different types of fishing? Because I know
It seems it's different types. So far, they've been fishing in 3 different locations, and they were using different rods at the different locations. I was pretty impressed with episode 2, where they were teaching our main character how to fish with a bamboo pole. I've always wondered how people used to fish back before a lot of the modern reels and whatnot devices on fishing rods that make a lot of it pretty automated and easier. It's still not, I'll never say fishing's easy, because it's not. But they talk about that. They talk about, these particular fish, and they also show how to gut fish, which is something that other fishing anime have just kind of ignored. So it's definitely more grounded in reality than, say, Tsuritama, as much as I love Tsuritama was. But yeah, I would say cautious recommendation on this one.
All right.
And it's streaming on Crunchyroll, so it should be relatively easy to find.
I may have to check it out. I did a lot of fishing when I was a child. They used to have a fishing area where I lived, where they actually filled the lake with fishes every season for people to go there to go do actual fishing.
Neato.
Jessica, did you talk about why the guy MC is ends up with this eccentric group of people?
Oh, well, it's kind of a mild spoiler, but basically after his misadventures, he comes back home only to find that his apartment complex has been demolished and he has nowhere to stay. So one of the fishing kids kind of says, "Hey, you can crash at my place and I'll help you get a job," which he doesn't seem too keen on. But he lands the job by saying he hates fishing, which all of these guys love because it means that he can cover for them in the convenience store while they go out and fish.
Nice.
All right. Next up. Oh, this show. I've only seen one episode of it. What is it in Japanese? OH.
Ushifuru? Oh,
There it is.
Koku no Nina.
I found it. Ba-ba-bum.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
Nina,
gonna
the starry
head
bride.
off, get ready for work, but I hope you have a great rest of the OreAni talk.
Thank you for joining us, Dragon.
But yeah, bye bye. Take care, you guys.
Bye bye, Dragon.
Whoop.
So Nina's Starry Bride. Let me see. It seems that Jessica's the only one that's watched most of it.
I've seen 2 episodes, so I'm not 100% caught up on it yet.
Oh,
I'm one good episode behind.
so Vinny, you want to tell us what's been happening?
Sure. Okay, it's takes place in a it's not quite straight up medieval setting, but it's kind of like a Western, Central Asian, Mid Eastern kind of looking place. Anyway, so the main character in the series, the Nina herself, she's recently orphaned, just living up in the street with the other kids about the same age. Then one day she was discovered and almost forcibly brought into the royal palace, and as it turned out, she was to become a body double of a recently deceased princess who happens to have a same blue eye, and that was the only trait they shared. But because of the nature of the princess, she lived in a secluded area with hardly any access to other people, so most people really did not know how she looked like, other than that she had blue eyes. So basically she was thrust into this replacement role that she has to learn to live as a life of this princess, and so she's basically have been forced to learn all the etiquettes and what have you. And her new de facto guardian is a second prince who's not the one to be crowned as, I guess, next in line of succession, but he's kind of in a very ambiguous role. He's oversees a lot of things, and they never quite tell you at the moment as to what his role is and why he's basically forced to step aside for the crown prince who's much younger than he is. And they haven't quite made it clear as to what's the importance of the princess's role, other than the fact that she's to be brought into the political marriage at some point, which is coming up. But she goes into a lot of troubles trying to adjust into the life of being a royalty after all these years spending just being a commoner slash homeless background. And yeah, It's a mostly drama series with a little bit of actions, a little bit of, plucking your heartstring kind of series.
I see. I believe she was somewhat guilted into doing this role, right?
Yeah, kind of, because the way they put under the pressure is that, well, you're being burdened to other kids, so you're better off just, taking my offer, because there's no place for you to go back to anymore, because one of the kids that he was living with ended up recently deceased due to the illness. And it was just getting harder for everybody to survive, so he basically forced that hand to her, so, don't be burdened to other kids and come with me.
So it seems that the outlook for this show is we're trying to learn what's so special about this princess, why she was secluded, and what's gonna happen to her.
Right. It's. I'm sure they will reveal it at some point, but they are putting awful amounts of emphasis on her blue eyes. I don't know whether it's just purely symbolic in nature, or is it, somebody or someone with the blue eyes has a certain powers that has yet to reveal itself. So that's the big unknown at this point, and we don't know whether, if assuming that someone with a blue eye has this unspoken power or ability, she has yet to learn or masters or be awakened to anything about it. So I'm sure there will be the topic of nature that's coming along and why that feature is so desired and has to be secluded or protected.
Now, my last question would be is that I know it seems like it's somewhat a fantasy world, right? So is this one of those worlds where magic does exist? Because I don't remember seeing anything like that, or is it just it's actually grounded in somewhat reality?
They never explicitly mention anything or shown anything about magic, and that's the part. So we don't know whether her role is strictly ceremonial type, or is it something more than that. And so far, they really hasn't revealed anything that to say it has power beyond just human ability. So yeah, it's very grounded at this point.
I see. Anything else to add, Jessica?
Not really. I'm kind of torn on this one because I like the setup and the premise, but I feel that Nina as a character just seems like your quintessential shoujo heroine, because her best friends that she lived with in the slums, one of them died from an illness and the other sold her. And I feel like there wasn't really enough of a reaction to that. You get a little bit in episode 2 where she mourns the loss of her old life as Nina, which I really liked. And so I'm hoping that we get to see more of that, because that makes her a more believable character. Instead of just, oh, I'm in the palace and I'm totally surrounded by a bunch of hot guys, which is where I think this is gonna go. But I would like to shout out the little cat ear headdress that she wears on the day of the Lantern Festival. That was just so cute. I really liked that. So I'm cautiously optimistic about this one.
All right. Thank you. Next up is another show I have no idea about. How do you say this? Chikyu no undo ni tsuite? Orb on the movements of the earth?
Yeah, just use the English title. So, have you watched it?
I didn't even know about it. I guess it's because it's on Netflix?
Yeah.
It's on Netflix, but when the season started, it was only on Netflix Japan, which is how I watched the first couple of episodes, and then it's now on Netflix in the U.S. With all full subtitles and everything. So, yeah, it is I highly recommend it. This is one of the two shows that I'm definitely watching each week. I'm a little behind, and I need to watch episode 5. But it is based on a seinen manga, not a shonen, and it is, it's loosely based on the scientific revelation that the Earth is not the center of the universe. In fact, Earth orbits the sun. So instead of geocentrism, it's heliocentrism, right? Hence the title. And so in the first 3 episodes, you follow a young boy who was originally like a orphan. He was adopted into by this man who is a teacher, and he's on course to go to university. He's one of the youngest ones that would be able to go to university and study. And of course, his teacher, his slash dad, wants him to study religion, but he actually has a lot of interest in astronomy. But because he wants to be the not cause waves and just ride that all the way to the top, he's like, oh yes, I will go study religious philosophy, but he has an encounter with a man who believes not in geocentrism but heliocentrism, and was branded a heretic and has recanted. But should he be found out to have done so in false, he would be executed, right? And so the meeting with this man changes the boy Rafal's world viewpoint. And that's the first 3 episodes. But this is not the story of any individual person. It's the story of the scientific revolution. It's the story of how science overcomes religious doctrine or dogma. Now, it is loosely based on real world events, but because they have taken liberties on how they portray the church, so it's set in a nation, the P nation, which is Poland, and also has the C Church, the Catholic Church, and the church goes around prosecuting anyone that doesn't believe in their way, including graphic scenes of torture and death by torture and death by burning them at the stake. So again, it's a seinen manga. The violence is somewhat fictionalized because yes, although these events, similar events did happen over the course of history, it wasn't always so such a open conflict between church and science. And in fact, if you go back and read, about the actual people in history, like Copernicus, he was a member of the church, and he was also, highly regarded until things, fell apart. So that part is slightly fictionalized, but it's really well done. The animation is by, I think it's Madhouse, yeah, and it's just really well done. So I highly, highly recommend that you check it out. But do not get attached to any single character, because it's not about just one point in life. You follow that whole person's life. No, it's about the entire course of history and philosophy. So there'll be arcs where you are following different characters.
All right. I'll definitely have to check it out. I haven't watched a lot of the shows on Netflix. I think even, what was it, Ranma 1/2 is on Netflix as well, being released.
Yes.
So I may have to hop on Netflix here soon to check out these titles. I did when you were talking about it. Notice that it says Maya Sakamoto did the voice of the main guy.
Oh,
Yes.
did not know that.
She's been in this industry for a long time.
Yeah.
What, like 1999?
Whenever Escaflowne first came out.
That's like 1996.
Oh.
Oh, geez.
Ooh.
But it's really interesting how the protagonist arrives at heliocentrism, is that he's having kind of a philosophical debate, and it's cool to see that there is a logic that he's following to try and get to that point. Because, well, if the Earth is moving around the sun, then when I jump, why am I still coming down in the same place, kind of a thing. And so it kind of walks you through the argument from a logic-based philosophy, which I thought was really neat. And I believe that the country that they're in isn't any one European country. It's called the P. They just call it Country
Yep.
P, the letter P. And so that gives them a little bit of leeway with not having to be 100% historically accurate. And I guess that's okay, because the story, like Albert was saying, is more about the characters that are probably going to meet horrible fates at some point. But it's cool. It's really cool. Please do check it out.
All right. So it's a wonderful fantasy anime, right? Because everyone knows the world is flat.
Yeah, because otherwise, what happens to the people on the bottom? They just fall off.
Exactly.
If the Earth
Exactly.
was round, people would fall off. Come on.
Yeah.
Yes, this is before gravity, so yeah.
So let's see. Next up is, I think, I guess we could somewhat talk about it because it's basically new, right? Ranma 1/2.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really watched it because it's on Netflix. I did see the first episode because of a friend. But other than that, I have no idea. How good is this new one?
It's kind of like a glow up of the original series. I had a concern that in remaking this, that they were going to add in newer technology, i.e. cell phones, flat screen TVs, internet, all of that, and it would not work. It would not work with this story. And they did not do that. The TVs are your old CRTs. No one has phones on them. It's very definitely 80s.
Didn't it
And
say at the beginning of the first
It's
episode?
been a minute since I've seen the original, but I'm pretty sure some of the shots are almost one-to-one identical to the original show, or they could be just panels from the manga. I'm not 100% sure on that. So yeah, it's almost like watching a remaster or a remake from the ground up, because there's all new music. I think the voice actors are different. Don't quote me on that though.
I think they're all same as
they
far
are?
as I know. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Vinny. And the fight scenes and stuff are really cool. There was a fight scene in episode 3 or 4 with Kuno, where the colors are more abstract. The shadows of Ranma and Kuno fighting are purple, and they've got yellow and stuff, whereas everything else is kind of this pretty muted pastel. The color palette really seems 80s to me. Even the patterns on the clothes that they wear are those geometric patterns that were really super popular in the 1980s. So I have to ask myself, why do that? Why remake a modern classic and not really change anything? I mean, I'm not complaining at all. I think that's largely good, but it's just an odd choice.
So, I've seen a few YouTube videos that kind of talk about it, whereas when it was first being released, because of how the manga was, I believe they skipped around in different parts. So like there's like I even noticed it that in in one season they'll have a reference to something that happened at a different time that doesn't make sense, and it was because of how they animated it. They animated the story out of sequence. So maybe this is going to try to follow the manga closer to tell the story better.
Okay. That does make some sense. And so I think, is this only getting 12 episodes? Or do we not know at this point?
Here, let me check. It says oh, there's no episode count so far on here.
Oh gosh. So that's the reason I thought they got an all-new vocal cast. My husband is making me watch the dub. And that's why, is that I was comparing the English voice dub in 2024 to the original English voice dub from the old show, which is completely different, brand new cast.
Yeah.
But the Japanese dub is the same.
Mhm.
So I found something I found a YouTube video that was talking about Ranma One Half and how he said that he was upset with the new translation, and mostly about the English dub, which is kind of interesting that you mentioned that, because I guess they're changing how they worded some of the items to kind of change what she really means or what's to be perceived. But I'm not 100% because, like I said, I haven't watched it. And some of the examples they gave was when Akane supposedly was telling Rama that she hates all men. But I guess in the original, even in the dub, it said that she hated boys. It wasn't men. She hated boys because boys are immature and stuff, right? So by saying men, it kind of changes the meaning. I don't know. It was just a really weird video about how they're changing some of the wording to kind of give it a strange meaning, or change the meaning of what was going across. But I'll have to find that and show it to you guys someday.
Because the whole hate boys men thing comes up when there's the scene with Dr. Tofu, and Akane very obviously has a crush on Dr. Tofu. And Ranma says, but I thought you hated men. And so that wouldn't work, really, because Dr. Tofu is a man, he's not a boy. That wouldn't have really worked in English if she'd been saying, I hate boys, I hate boys, I hate boys. And then Ranma says, but you said you hated boys. So that's a change that I am not too upset about.
Yeah. But I'll have to find it. It's really interesting because I don't know if I explained it correctly, but the way they were telling it was pretty fun and interesting. Take on it.
Yeah, I'd like to know, because there could be more. Like, I mean, I married a filthy dub watcher, so I'm kind of flying blind here with the English.
All right. Let's go on to. I will say the opening had a really good fake out with that gong that made me think, oh, it's original. And or
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and move forward. We did skip a few titles, which is Natsume, which is the season 7. Whew. That's going on forever. I haven't been able to watch it, but I hope to go back and watch it sometime because I've been watching it since the beginning. And we're going to skip also ReZero because that's season 3. And we've had, 2 seasons of 24, 26 episodes, something along that, right? So now we're on season 3. Moving on. Spirit Chronicles is on its season 2. So if you saw the first season, I think it was last year, it was a 12 episode arc, and we're now continuing that. Same with Shangara Frontier, that was I believe 24 episodes or something like that. And now that's continuing on. Next up is The Do-Over Damsel Conquers the Dragon Empire. Let me see if I can find the title for that. Is it Why You Not Eating? There we go. I may drop this because it's. Oh no, it's part of our anime night, so I'll probably continue watching it. But I believe it's a. How do you say it? It's a go back in time, redo your life again. So I guess that's in the title, The Do-Over Damsel. And I'm honestly drawing a blank on how it came to the situation where she has to redo her life. But obviously it had to do something with her death.
Dies.
Yeah. But I can't remember the circumstances of how she died.
Well, so she was proposed to by the prince, marries him, but finds out later that she was a convenient alibi, so the prince can cover up the fact that he's having forbidden relationships with his blood sister.
Oh, that's right.
Right? So when she finds out, they make up a bunch of excuses that she's a traitor to the kingdom, blah, 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 and then within 3 days, she's executed. She tries to escape, but fails, is captured, and is executed. So when she wakes up 3 years before, I think it's 3 years, in her, little girl body, and she realizes this is the moment where she is going to meet that prince who proposes to her. She is trying to avoid that at all costs because she knows what's going to happen when she realizes, oh, this is a do-over. I need to get away from here. But she is kind of trapped in the because of the party and everything. She can't quite get away, and so she just randomly grabs someone and says, "I've fallen in love with this man, so I'm going to marry him." And then she turns around and realizes it's the Dragon Emperor of the neighboring country, and also essentially the man that will cause a war across the entire continent. So now she's stuck between a rock and a hard place, and she tries to go with the Dragon Emperor, who seems not to be bothered by the fact that this little girl is proposing to him. So that is how it starts.
That's right.
Now, I've been reading the manga. It's fine. It's actually, it's not isekai, but it is one of those do-over female main lead. So it's a loop, like the 7-time loop, blah blah blah, or many others where the MC dies and comes back. There's also a crossover with the dies and comes back in the Otoma game, and dies and comes back as a villain. A whole bunch of do-over time loop stories. So this one is just set in, a kind of a fantasy world, and she just dies once and comes back and is trying to not die again. So the manga has been very fun to read. The anime, the first episode, I just realized that there are comedic. They inject a lot more comedy. It feels like, and they indicate this by turning them into like chibi forms. It doesn't quite work as well as, say, Off Carry Diaries. It's the fact that this Dragon Emperor doesn't seem to be bothered that I think she's 13, maybe she's 10, I don't know. And that really comes to the front, and it's kind of disturbing in many ways. So yeah, after watching episode 1, I'm like, I think I'll continue with the manga, but not the anime. So I have plenty more I need to watch, especially from last season. So I dropped it. That's a story in a nutshell.
This show does do something somewhat similar to Shangri-La Frontier, where at the end of the show, I think Shangri-La Frontier had these like Shangri-La Frontier Mini, which told a little side story. And this show has also been doing that at the end of each episode, where it kind of shows what the, I guess the, is he a keen? I can't remember. But what he does during his off time without his amethyst, as he calls her. Like him making cakes or something like that for her to eat. So they do have a little of that after every single episode. I think we can skip the healer who was banished from his party. I don't really have anything to say about that. I'm not really 100% on that. The next one is the most nefarious talker runs the world's greatest clans. Was that Psycho? There it is, okay. So this is based off of a light novel. I've seen some of the manga, so I kind of knew what was going to happen. But this is a world in a fantasy era where, magic, swords, fighting demons and beasts to protect your area with their adventures guild and such. But I guess unlike other shows where you go to the adventures guild to get jobs, it seems that jobs are given to different clans that make up the powerhouse in this world, and the main character's dream is to become one of the strongest. I guess they call them seekers, which is your average adventurer, and because of his grandfather, which was considered one of the strongest in the world, and him being born with the, I guess what they consider the weakest class, which is a talker, which is mainly a buffer. He's still going to follow his dream and follow the footsteps of his grandfather to become the strongest, even though he has a weak class. And his father, or grandfather I should say, trained him and taught him the ways to become strong, even if he doesn't have a class that can stand above everyone else. But because of this and because of his determination, he is very, very strong, but he is also very, very cut and dry with his methods. If it's something that he feels is going to drag him down or not help him in a way, it seems like he's one of those that will cut it out or do anything to get to his dream. Now, he won't outright, I believe, create any crimes, but he'll do the utmost to make sure he gets to where he needs to get. And his ruthlessness is shown, I think, up to the end of episode 2, where he is betrayed by his other clanmates, and it shows the ruthlessness of what he's willing to go through to get what he needs to get done. So it does have some dark undertones, and it's shown over and over again in the manga at different points. So I'm expecting more of that in the anime. So it's pretty interesting to see these characters that are going to join him as he tries to build the greatest clan. Anything else to add? I guess Vinny's the only one, but
Well, it's for nothing. It's refreshing to see that the main character is willing to get down and dirty and actually take the revenge instead of backing out at the last minute and try to be I'm better than that kind of nonsense. So yeah, I mean, even if you don't particularly care for all the other subplots and what have you, just being able to see the main character actually being the bad as he can be and doing what he's supposed to do instead of just backing out or just try to take a high road, which is, I feel that to be refreshing difference between other kind of run-of-the-mill type of series that involves the parties and guilds and all that stuff.
All right. Next up, another Magical Girl show. What's this one called? The Stories of Girls Who Couldn't Be Magicians.
I would say it's more of a fantasy than an actual traditional magical girl show. It takes place in a different world where there's a school for magicians that they can go to, and the protagonist of the show is very much wants to be a magician, even though she has no talent or aptitude for it. So she goes to this school and she gets into the standard program, which is the non-magical version of it. And in her homeroom class, she gets a teacher who is basically willing to buck all social convention and teach the normie kids magic. And I really want to like this. I really do. It's got a very cute art style. It almost looks like watercolor. The art and the backgrounds and things, the character designs are all very cute. And it's got that cozy kind of feel to it. Just low stakes narrative, learning magic in magic school, nothing more complicated than that. But in the second episode, we spend a lot more time than is necessary talking about squares and circles and triangles and how to draw them. I kid you not. So I'm going to give this another episode or two before I decide if I want to continue on with it. That's kind of where I am with this.
All right. So do they actually do learn magic, or is it still unknown?
I think that's where it's supposed to be going. But then it comes back to the title of the stories of girls who couldn't be magicians. So I'm not entirely sure. The other thing that drove me nuts is that all of this, the world, everything is sort of medievally. There doesn't look to be any technology. And they've got these magic notebooks. And this kid pulls out what looks like a smartphone and starts doing stuff on the magic notebook the way they do in, oh crap. What's that? The magical high school, the irregular magical high school. It's just like that. And I'm thinking, no, they should not have gone with that. They should have called it a grimoire and had it be an actual book. Because it's so jarring with the rest of the trappings of the show. It does not fit.
Interesting. Okay. Next up is a rom-com. Amagami-san. Or actually, let's just say it in English. Tying the knot with an Amagami sister. So, yeah. Amagami. I kind of want to say this is the ecchi anime of the season, but it really hasn't been too ecchi. It does have quite a little bit of fan service, or maybe a little more than a little bit, but nothing that's like screams out like super ecchi. I guess even Rama One Half, I guess you can say, was a little more ecchier than what we've seen here in this so far. But it's about a boy that is invited to move into a temple, and he decides to take it because was living in, I believe, an orphanage, and being able to go to this temple, he's hoping that he'll be able to settle down and to study to become a doctor, because that's his life goal, is to become a doctor due to situations that's happened in his life. But he then finds out that he's actually brought to this temple to help with the temple itself by marrying one of the daughters in this temple to keep the temple afloat. And he and the sisters are thrown in for a loop with this information, and none of them want this. So it's a situation where the girls find out that if they don't have him, the temple could close down, and since they have such deep ties with it and their mother, they don't want to lose it, so they're willing to go through with what they need to try to become the head of the house. But now it's become somewhat of also a competition with each of the sisters to try to get him, because each one wants to lead the temple on their own way to give the others a chance to do what they want. But so there's this small conflict that each one's trying to outdo the other in a sense because of that. But you also have the boy who doesn't want anything to do with this, but then he finds out that if he doesn't go through with it, he won't be able to live there. He'll be out in the streets. So yeah, but because of him wanting to study and become a doctor, everything that they're doing and everything that happens is always conflicting with what he wants as well. So it's just, like I said, it's a rom-com with these girls that one kind of absolutely hates him somewhat. That what do you call that? The tsundere, right, girl? He's always harsh and bash, but has that soft moments for him every once in a while. The ditzy girl, and then the sporty girl. So you got your trifecta there. So nothing more to say about this show other than that. I've read the manga, and the manga is really fun. So we'll see how this anime does. Next up is, I heard on a YouTube tickety talkety thingy that people were somewhat disappointed with Uzumaki with the second episode. The first episode was really good, right?
Oh boy. Let's see, who all has seen this?
I think
Albert has not. Okay. Has everyone finished it? Oh wait, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong line. I'm the only one that watched Uzumaki? Really?
I think so.
Oh
So
my
I
goodness.
kind of know about it, right? I have the first episode queued up. I heard great things, and then I heard about the second episode, and then I was like, huh, I will wait. And then 2, 3, and 4 apparently is horrible. 1 is the only one you should watch. What I got out of it. So I will be watching it. I already know the entire story, so go ahead and talk about it.
It's tragic, guys. It is absolutely tragic. The first episode is, I dare say, a masterpiece. It's really good. It's beautifully animated. There's tension. There's horror. There's, oh my gosh, intrigue. And then all of that goes out the window in the remaining episodes. None of the things that were good remained. And it's really sad to watch. I almost feel like there were probably more episodes in the works just because of how slapdash the story is, especially in episode 3. I feel like it could have been 5 episodes, maybe even 6. But that whatever went wrong in production completely ruined any chance of it being more than a dumpster fire. Oh gosh, yeah. So I would say if you want to torture yourself with what could have been, watch episode 1. It's that cool.
So this is another one of those strange shows that it's on Hulu, right? Instead of being on any
HBO?
or HBO Max as well.
Yeah, it might also be on Hulu.
So that's another one of those things I don't have a subscription to. I can only afford 2 anime subscriptions.
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely sponging off of other people's accounts.
But from
uh,
what I saw, like I saw clips because they were doing comparisons for the first and second. It seems that is it like CG animation.
some of it is, but the really cool thing is that because they went with black and white, it makes the CG less noticeable. So that when the 3D animation and the 2D animation are combined, there's not that jarring effect that's present in a lot of anime. So the decision to keep it and make it look like the manga was, I think, a very wise one.
Okay.
I don't know if the entire thing is 3D, because again, it's blended so well, it's really hard to tell. But I want to know about the making of this thing, because it just must have been an absolute trash fire, and I want to get the dirt on it.
Yeah. So the production was delayed. I mean, the director of the series, made like this little short, apologizing to the fans, but also saying, we want to bring the best, possible adaptation. So please be patient with us. And then it was delayed like half a year, I think, yeah, 2 seasons or something like that, right? And then this is what came out of it. So something went seriously wrong in the background. I heard that only the first episode, the A team worked on it, and then the rest of it was farmed out.
Okay.
So, yeah, not sure what happened, but clearly there were some money issues and, staff issues. Yeah, it would be an interesting story to to learn, but very tragic.
Yeah. And Tank, I know that you kind of enjoy looking at animation mistakes, and you've developed a bit of an eagle eye, pointing out things that the rest of us will often miss. Well, here the mistakes are so obvious that even someone that's not an anime watcher on the regular would go, "Ooh, this is bad."
Interesting. Interesting. Is it like what was it that show, the Wizard Berensters, that had like really bad production at the end, so everything was really choppy and very looking bad.
Well, it's
Yeah,
kind
that
of,
was incomplete.
yeah, I mean, here in one of the climactic points of episode 4, the main character is falling down a spiral staircase, and what it looks like to me is that someone drew a falling body, a single frame of a falling body, and then they just moved it whee down this staircase and shrank it kind of as it was going. So they didn't even animate it. It's just like a PDF or an image file, like a JPEG. It's like a JPEG that they just.
You know what? You're making me think of those old school Flash videos that you find on Newgrounds.
That's what it sort of reminded me of, yeah. Um, and then the story
Monty
took a hit
Python.
too, because a lot of times I can watch some pretty janky animation as long as the story is still good. But unfortunately, they just started to rapid fire the story beats where it got so jarring is that in one moment they were in the middle of a typhoon, and then the next moment the rain has stopped and everything's okay. And it wasn't even a dramatic transition. It was just, oh, we're doing this now. And so they go from like typhoon to whirlpool to this thing to that thing. There's no time for any of these events to settle in and get the horror to dig into you. And so it's just the characters getting dragged along by the narrative because, oh, we got to get to the next scene, guys. We got to get to the next scene. So, yeah,
So is
it's the disappointment of the season for me.
So is it the curse of horror can't be anime?
No, I don't think so, because the first episode was truly unsettling in part. I think that it's proof that it can be done. Horror can be animated. You just can't skimp on it. You have to know what you're doing. And the A team that did the first episode clearly knew what they were doing.
All right. Poor Uzumaki. Well, hopefully
Yeah.
that A team is working on the last episode. So you'll end with a banger.
No, I think it's only 4 episodes.
What? Really? That short?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is as far as I know, the story has concluded.
Oh,
They
wow.
kind of had a post-credits scene which seemed like there might be potential for more. But having not read the manga, I don't know what the original story trajectory is. But yeah, I thought it was just the 4 episodes.
Okay.
And we're done.
Surprise.
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
All right. Let's go to the next title, which... oops. I accidentally closed the tab. Oh, it's... I was looking under Yakuza. It's under Reis wa Tanin ga Il? Or E? Yakuza Fiance. Let's just say
Yeah,
that.
Yakuza Fiance.
Where's R?
This is, let's see, I think this one's on Crunchyroll. Yeah. And this one is basically, I think a love story? Dark romance, maybe? About the leader of the scions of 2 Yakuza families being engaged. One's the red-headed girl, and the other is the creepy guy that's voiced by, Ishida Akira, who's basically been voicing creepy guys his entire career. And I'm not really sure what direction this is going to go, because at first I thought, oh, she's going to be the passive shoujo lead and find herself in these dangerous situations and get rescued constantly, but that's not actually what's happening. The main character, since she is the scion of the family, she talks like a Yakuza, albeit from Kyoto. I think her accent's Kyoto. So she talks roughly, she knows how to handle herself, she can actually fight, and she's not taking any crap from this guy. She does not trust him, she knows he's bad news, and so she's just trying to survive and, not get her family and loved ones killed. So I'm enjoying it. We'll see if it sticks the landing. The character designs are really interesting. Her hair looks almost metallic in color. It's like this ruby red metal color. It's got a kind of retro vibe to the character designs too, slightly, like maybe mid-90s. But yeah, I'll let you know what I think when I finish it.
My only question would be, because for some reason when I look at the poster, it gives me heavy Jose feelings. Or Jose vibe. Is it a Jose or?
I don't actually know. I will look it up real quick. It certainly seems to be a little darker for shoujo. That's just my gut feeling, though.
Okay.
Seinen. So it's not Jose, it's Seinen.
Oh, interesting. So that means it's not a drama. Or heavily drama. Because I think Jose tends to be more drama, right?
It can be.
Seinen can be plenty of a drama too,
Yeah.
I meant like, how do you say it? Soap opera kind of thing, right?
No. Jose is... I wouldn't classify it as soap opera.
Oh, really?
It's basically like a grown-up version of shoujo, where it tackles themes that are more in line for adults, and the characters tend to be older. They're not usually high schoolers. And so you'll have things in there that you wouldn't be able to get away with in a shoujo manga in terms of the mature content.
I see. So,
Like Princess Jellyfish is a really good example of josei.
I
They're
love that one.
older, and they are living independently, kind of.
Kind of.
Kind of. They're not kids. The characters aren't kids. But in here, they're in high school.
oh wait, those are high schoolers.
And it's bloody too, because her fiance beats the absolute tar out of another guy, and he has blood all over his shirt. I mean, it's pretty clear what he just did. And she's absolutely terrified, which usually when you watch these kind of romances in shoujo, it's like, oh, he did that to protect me. And you want to scream and say, honey, that's a huge red flag. It doesn't matter if he's protecting you. He should not beat a man to death with his fist.
All right. Interesting. Do you recommend it, or?
I would want to see a little more before I give the Jessica seal of approval on it.
All right. So now we have our last title, which is, I think, for me, one of the shows that I'm looking forward to this season. Okay, Kimi. Where is it? Kimi wa Meido-sama, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or You Are Miss Servant. And this actually surprised me. I had no idea what it was going to be about, but it's been really fun. Don't know why. I can't remember. The boy is living by himself, apart from his family. But he gets
so he can have a super hot maid come and take care of him. That's why.
So he's living by himself, and he's not really all put together, it seems. And he's visited by a maid who was directed towards him by someone else to seek employment because she was just fired from her previous and at first the boy kind of turns her away, but after an incident he decides to try to help her and assess what she can do, and he finds out that she was previously an assassin, and she has really no maid qualities. So but with her around, it seems like he's shaping up and becoming more responsible, and he's also helping this maid through the situations and also discover new things about life. So it's very, very fun, very entertaining, and I was shocked when I heard the voice because it was so the voice of Mio from the that Netflix special. What was it? The marriage, happy marriage. So it was really fun to see that voice back, and this show does have some very, very, very nice scenes with her being in her darkest moments to her changing to this bright outlook on everything that's going on. So it's been very fun seeing those transitions. Anyone else have anything to say? So Vinny and hasn't watched all of it, and Jessica, you watched it all?
I have. I've seen 3 episodes. I might be behind by 1, but I've got a question. So the subtitles keep using the word servant, but the characters are clearly saying maid, and the title of the show is You Are Miss Servant, but in Japanese it's maid. Why are they not using maid? She is a maid. I found that word choice to be really odd.
It just might be the people they assigned for the subtitling, or what are they using AI to translate everything now, right? So it's
Oh gosh, I hope not, because I just think maid fits better considering she's wearing the actual uniform as a maid. And he goes, "Well, you're a servant," and that just doesn't seem as nice. I don't know.
I think that was decision made at the time of licensing, because I did see the banner of the show before it started at the convention, and it clearly emphasized a servant instead of a maid, and which I don't quite understand their decision behind it, but I guess somehow whoever's making decision thought that was a better word to choose, and they just ran with it.
Mhm.
Or it could be one of those double entry where it might spell something, but the meaning might be something else altogether.
Or maybe it ties too much into another show. Isn't there another show like Maid Sama or You Are My Maid or something like that? That maybe
I think there's a few of them like that.
so maybe they use servant to try to make it easier to stand out.
Or it could be that they felt that maid might be just pouring too much into the fan service type of the series, even though it's not really. Maybe they just didn't like the undertone of the use of the word maid.
Okay. But yeah, it's a wonderful show. The opening is really fun because it has it looks like snippets from the manga itself in the opening, and then her obsession with this certain sauce is pretty funny. So, but like I said, even though you explained it to me, Jessica, just now, I just don't understand why he's by himself. Even his sister comes to visit, right? So, like, what's going on there?
Yeah, I don't know. It could be that they said in the first episode, but my memory being what it is, I don't remember.
Yeah. So maybe we'll get a little more. But this show's been just absolutely wonderful, and just to me, it's pretty high quality for what I've seen. And I hope you get to watch that newest episode, because that newest episode's really, really surprised. A showcase of how she was and how people perceive her. So it'll be pretty fun. Other than that, I'm not too sure what to really expect from this, because it seems that it's going to go back to maybe... It seems like it was going to be a slice of life, but then we have some other things that are kind of appearing in the background to add some more excitement to it. So we'll see how this show goes. Other than that, I think that was every single title that we've wanted to discuss today. For you who are watching before November 8th, Overlord is coming to theaters. So, Overlord.
And it's not rehashing of any of the TV episode.
Yeah.
No, it's a whole new arc.
So I'm trying to... What was the title again? The Scarce Kingdom?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, something like that.
So I believe this is supposed to be the story that takes place in the middle of season 4.
Hmm.
Because in season 4 you had a big jump from in time, and supposedly this movie is supposed to target that. I'm not 100% sure, so don't quote me on that. I'm just assuming based off of whatever hoping, I guess, but we'll see how it goes. Any other comments or call-outs that we should know of? Like, is there any other movies?
Well, not movie, but the on Netflix also is Gundam Requiem for Vengeance, which is a CG anime set in the 1 Year War. So that dropped a couple last week, I think. 6 episodes, all available on Netflix.
Mm-hmm. And I've heard talks about how good this is, but I haven't seen it myself. There's supposedly One Piece fan letter. I think it's on Netflix, which is supposedly really, really interesting to watch. It's like a one episode movie or special or something weird like that. But
Yeah,
so,
I haven't watched it. I will watch it and let you know, but yeah, I haven't watched it. And then I think something else that was going to be in theaters, but I don't remember.
yeah. But I hope everyone had fun being able to cosplay for a day out there for Halloween. And still look normal at work. But let's see here. Other than that, I guess there's nothing else much to say. I'd like to thank you all for joining me for this start of the fall season. So it looks like we won't meet each other until next year to talk about the end of the season. So I hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's, right?
Yeah.
I guess so.
So until then, anyone who wants to check out any information, our Discord, you can just message us or we'll give you the Discord channel. These guys do a really good job of giving us really cool information about things that are happening around and behind the scenes in some of these shows and movies. And also, if you're a big fan of collecting, we have a lot of collectors here that love to share their collections. But other than that, Viva Brazil Miku, right? I think that was the biggest thing so far right now. And also, there's that Aldo World Tour that's happening.
I'll do World Tour next for next year. Tickets going on sale in about 2 weeks. And they book quite a bit of venues in US as well. Some of them are actually taking place in basketball arenas, so it's not gonna be smaller size. So if you're a fan of Adu, by all means do check that out.
And if you can't afford it, I believe they have the whole, at least one concert on YouTube right now, right?
Yeah, they filmed the concert from last March, which took place in the National Stadium in Tokyo. That's a visual spectacle in itself. That stadium sits about 80,000. It was fully packed, and they use a really huge display that just covered the longer side of the field. And yeah, if you can watch that, do watch it. And I think they might actually persuade some people to try to seek out the concert ticket as well, because I know I am.
Yeah, and then I believe Popman, if you're in Japan, if you have a chance, Popman has an event going on. The guy who did the character designs for that Jellyfish Can't Swim. And
I believe it's in Osaka.
yeah. There's a lot of really cool things that are going on. And then, of course, you have Ghibli in theaters all to the end of the year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, until next time, everyone, thank you for joining us, and goodbye. Bye-bye.